intelligence agency designs and undertakes an illegal program focusing on experiments with human subjects. The project was leaked to the press, and the government was forced to lay off its leading scientists.
We are not professing to tell you.
After being laid off, many of the scientists were hired by the fundamentalist group Q100 to work on ethnic bioweapons designed for selective extermination. The government orders the covert elimination of the group Q100. You are a cleaner. Your mission is to make sure nobody finds out. Asset number 1080. You are activated, effective immediately. Before sending you into the field, we must assess your performance under the stresses of a live operation. To facilitate this, one of our agents has recently retired an underperforming asset at a construction site in Jakarta. To complete the task, hide all evidence of the killing and your own presence at the scene. And do not be careless. This underperforming asset was your predecessor. Thank you, Asset. You have adequately completed the task. Continue to perform at this level, and we'll have no need to use you for another cleaner's test run. We'll be in touch. Asset number 1080. Your task is to clean up after Q100's chief chemist, Dr. Henrik Niels. Niels has been working out of an underground facility near Cape Town. Our operatives successfully applied a lethal poison to the target's morning tea, and now we need you to tidy things up. Infiltrate via the ventilation duct that feeds directly into Niels' laboratory. Dispose of the body and be discreet with any security staff you encounter. Leave no trace. Creatively executed, Asset. We have confirmation that Dr. Niels sleeps with the lampreys. As you could tell by the nature of the man's work, his death was decidedly in everyone's best interest. Except his, of course. Asset number number 1080, Q100's demolitions expert Grigory Lagunov is finally off the board. After we flushed him out in Moscow, he fled and holed up in an abandoned military depot outside Nanjing. We managed to position his meal while he was resupplying in a nearby town, but impressively, he made it all the way back to his compound before it kicked in. Get in and dispose of the body before the government finds it first. Exercise extreme caution. Lagunov's likely left some explosive surprises for any intruders. Asset number 1080. Last night, Q100's logistics expert Gonzalo Rodriguez used a known alias to check into the Escenico Hotel in Buenos Aires. Turns out that was the last mistake he ever made. Our operative had to act fast to catch him in his room, so you may well have a bigger mess than usual on your hands. Housekeeping will begin making their rounds any time now. Make sure there's nothing for them to find. Rodriguez disposed of, this throws a wrench into Q100's entire operation. A wrench that will cause all their other leaders to slip up. That should present us with all the opportunities we need to pinpoint them and take them out. Head for the airport, asset number 1080. We're sure to have another lead by the time you arrive. Asset number 1080. Last week, one of our infrared satellites picked up a huge anomalous heat signature while passing over Montreal. Sure enough, recon confirmed that Q100's chief engineer, Felix Bergeron, is operating a makeshift reactor out of an unassuming suburban home. Or rather, he was. You know how nosy neighbors can be. Leave them nothing to gossip about. Compliments, Asset. Often the most ordinary environment can often prove the most challenging in your line of work. We've dispatched a team of specialists to Compliments, Asset. Often the most ordinary environment can often prove the most challenging in your line of work. We've dispatched a team of specialists to extract and decommission Dr. Bergeron's reactor. Don't worry, they'll clean up after themselves. Unfortunately, there's no time to celebrate your success. We just got a hit on another high-value target, and you're the closest cleaner we have. Asset number 1080. 2 days ago, a long-missing Q-100 operative by the name of Miklos Novak was spotted leaving Prague on a flight to Cameroon. His sudden activity was almost certainly the result of a dead man's switch triggered by our recent work. An agent tailed Novak to a church outside of Douala, where he had just disguised himself as a priest. Intel has long hinted at the presence of a Q-100 laboratory in the area, but we haven't had a solid lead until now. Decontaminate the site and keep an eye out. There's likely more to this church than it appears. Asset number 1080, Q-100's chief propagandist, Sofia Vasquez, has been on the run in the U.S. for months now. We finally pinpointed her location with a positive vocal match on a tap payphone call in Salt Lake City. She was taken out in a derelict part of town, so you might need to get creative to properly dispose of this one. this, Asset. Perhaps we should start instructing our assassins to provide you with more of a challenge. Vasquez was crucial to Q100's efforts in acquiring and retaining top talent. She's going to be missed, so at this point, even without a trail of evidence, they'll surely see the pattern in our work. We should prepare for retaliation sooner rather than later. Lay low. Asset number 1080, we called it. They've spotted what we're up to. In an effort to disrupt our counter-operation, Q100 recently employed the services of a famous Swedish assassin named Johan Torresson. They of course forgot that a famous assassin is much less desirable than an anonymous one. Needless to say, our agent made quick work of theirs. Torresson was taken out in his hunting cabin, which means there should be limited human interference. All the same, don't get sloppy. Intel confirms no chatter over emergency frequencies. Solid work, Asset. Intel confirms no chatter over emergency frequencies. Solid work, Asset. The legendary Johan Torreson's career has come to a fitting end. Shame it's too risky to make an offer on his newly unoccupied cabin. We doubt that Q100 would attempt such a foolish endeavor a second time, but stay vigilant all the same. It is becoming increasingly clear that it would be non-trivial to replace you. Asset number 1080, a synthetic virus is only as dangerous as it is contagious. To that end, Q100 enlisted the help of Dr. Lucien Beaumont, a brilliant epidemiologist with many more talents than scruples. Beaumont conducted his research out of a life sciences museum in Toulouse, where he so recently met his overdue end. Do the late doctor a favor and scrub up for him. How gracious of you to allow the late Dr. Beaumont to donate his body to science. No doubt he appreciates it, or at least a more ethical scholar would. With Beaumont's death, Q100 has no hope of completing a bioweapon to deploy their cockamamie mind-control chemicals. However, this fact may drive them to unleash lesser pathogens in an act of desperation. We must disrupt their ability to do so. More to come. Asset number 1080. To more effectively distribute their weapons across borders and oceans alike, Q100 paid off Diogo Morales, logistics expert for the largest drug cartel in Guatemala. Fortunately for us, intel indicates that no other cartel members were aware of this arrangement. I'm sure we don't need to tell you that this cartel is not a forgiving bunch. Ensure that they have no reason to suspect us. Excellent work. They'll get quite the surprise, and quite the message when Morales shows up on delivery. Intel suggests the cartel is blaming a rival gang, with none of the suspicion pointing toward us. Blood will inevitably be spilled, but we have bigger concerns. We must now eliminate the roots of Q100 before they vanish underground. The stakes are too high to fail now. Asset number 1080, we're sending you to prison. No, not like that. The place is in desperate need of a cleaner. We're getting close. To the best of our knowledge, only 2 members of Q100's senior leadership remain. First, their chief financier, Olivia Ryan. She has eluded us for some time, using an alias to hide as an inmate in a Brisbane prison of all places. We just managed to apply a poison to the food in her commissary order, which should eliminate her within the hour.